This episode brought to you by Audible!
Yay!
Audibletrial.com/horror virgin for 30 days free and a book to get you started.
Mikey wants to say .com.
That's
so
what
bad.
it is, Mikey.
.com!
But for your book recommendation, Mikey, what do you recommend?
I read recently Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, and it was
That
really
checks out.
good. And it's about a guy in London, and there's some stuff that happens in this adventure.
Don't
and
spoil the book.
supernatural.
Recommend the book.
And at the end,
So if you want that to be your book, go to audibletrial.com/horror virgin for 30 days free and a book to get you started. This episode also brought to you by Nick B. Nick B is the best.
Yep, maybe that's what the B stands for.
Maybe that is what the B stands for. Holy crap, I love that.
Nick B wanted us to plug God Country.
God Country is the movie that they're trying to get made over at Modern Horrors.
We've talked about it on our show. Yeah.
In fact, Luke and Jacob have both come on the show and talked about it. They're great.
That's
they're
right.
trying to get it funded. Is it Seed and Spark that they're trying to get it funded
Seed
through?
and Spark, yeah. Is where
But
the
if you just
campaign is
Google
right now.
God Country film,
is Seed and Spark
you'll
a
find
website
it.
or a strategy?
Yeah, it's sort of like a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're getting really close to their goal, too.
Are they really?
Yeah, they are. I think they said they were about 4,000 under. their
What?
goal. Yeah.
Because they were trying to get 25,000,
They were.
and if my math is correct, that means they've raised $73,000 already.
Is that math correct, Nick B? Can you help us?
Guys, if you want your very own Patreon shout out, go to patreon.com/horror virgin and sign up at the Burn It Down level like Nick B and get them weekly, or at the You Can Get It so you can get your monthly Patreon shout outs. And if you stick around to the end of this episode,
You're going to be
you'll
getting it
hear
tonight.
those. Yeah.
Todd, can you bring our theme music in, please? Hey, don't kink shame.
If you want to go to vomitking.com, free
Free
trial
trial.
/ Carter version.
If you guys want to go to vomitvirgin.com.
It's our spinoff podcast.
Spit off podcast.
Oh, gross.
Welcome to
Oh,
the
my
horror
God.
version, everyone. I'm Jiz. And I apologize for how gross that is. What?
Yeah.
I've said that before.
I am your horror virgin, Todd.
And I am your horror experience, but still classy man, Mikey.
You're the horror man who just keeps hanging around the horror high school like
Yeah.
3 years after you graduated.
Well, the thing about horror movies, Todd, is that they stay the same age, and I keep getting older.
You had it backwards. All right, all right, all right.
all right.
Guys, we watched The Conjuring.
We did.
And I hated it.
It drove Todd insane from fear. We got like 7 videos of you like flipping
Yeah.
your phone up in the air.
Yeah,
Did
because
you get video of him flipping
I
the phone in the
didn't
air?
know. I missed it.
He flipped his phone in the air like a Scooby-Doo fucking episode.
really did. Twice in the same scene.
it was scary.
My friends have asked me like if you're faking it, and it's like he's not. It's
He's
really
really
that
not.
dumb.
Ow, Mikey, friend. Yeah, I'm not fake. I really am uncomfortable. Like, I really hate these movies, especially these types of movies,
Yeah.
because they're just 1,000% jump scares. It's horrible. I hate them all.
You have been dreading this movie since you watched the trailer.
I have, and I watched the trailer about a month ago for the Patreon stuff, and we just put it up this week. And man, they loved it because it's really scary. And I mean, there are parts where I'm looking around the room in the trailer.
I got a text one day at work that said, I just watched the trailer for The Conjuring. I'm not fucking watching that movie. And I
Yeah.
was like, Todd's got something to say. And then I realized you texted us in the middle of that trailer video.
Oh yeah, if you watch the end of the video, it's me texting you guys. Yeah, I did it on the video.
Yeah.
So if you guys are on the Patreon, you saw that. If not, sign up. You'll missing out on some good stuff.
Yeah.
But let's get into this fucking movie.
Spoilers, it starts with the 60s.
Yep. This
Oh, yeah.
It starts with
The
Annabelle.
super cool 60s.
Okay, so I wrote this down because it was hilarious. We see, and the very first thing we see in this movie is just Annabelle's face right by The Conjuring, and Todd went, fuck, I'm out.
Oh yeah.
Seconds after the movie started.
This is like the very beginning of the movie. I said that because it's creepy, and her eyes like slit down the middle, and
Yes.
it's like, I'm out.
Spoiler alert, she has her own movie.
She's had
got
2 of her own movies, right?
Are you kidding me?
Annabelle 1 and 2, right?
This movie has a lot of spinoffs.
Oh, yeah.
It does. It's a part of its
universe.
own expanded universe.
Yeah.
It started it. Why do I know more about this than you?
I don't know.
Mikey?
I actually kind of like this universe better than the DC universe.
The DC universe is god awful, but nice tie-in. The guy who directed this directed Aquaman.
Is that the DC universe?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
Jason Momoa
also,
is hot.
from what I understand, a horrible movie. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And Patrick Wilson, I think that's his name,
It is?
It
is in
is.
both of them.
Yeah.
Mikey's fun facts.
Mikey's fun facts. Not quite as good as Jen's fun facts.
That's right.
Mikey's less fun facts.
Mikey's less fun facts. Oh my God. I love it. That's awesome. All right, let's do this. Let's get to this fucking movie.
All right, so yeah, we're interviewing the two ladies who live with Annabelle.
Excuse me.
Oh, pardon me.
There's a man there as well.
Oh, yeah.
But
He's just not allowed to talk.
He honestly, I don't.
Patriarchy.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He has 0 lines.
He does. Yeah.
That dude 100% went to his mom like, Mom, you'll never believe it. I've been busting my ass at community theater for 6 years and finally got a part in a major motion picture. And then he got there, said his lines so badly, they just cut every one of them out.
And all it is just him sitting on the couch looking afraid.
It is,
I
yeah.
have an alternate theory.
Oh, hit me with it.
He
Because
won a
he's not in
contest?
any of the flashbacks.
No, he's
Maybe
not.
he's Annabelle.
He's a ghost.
What? He could, honestly, he could be.
I have heard that he's getting his own spin-off franchise.
But it's in the DC expanded
And
universe.
it's all silent.
Plain
But this scene goes immediately to flashback, right? Because we're talking about
It
like
does.
who's haunting the
Because
girls.
when you meet a creepy doll and then it asks you if you can inherit the body of the doll to live with you, you always, of course, you're going to say, yeah.
It was
yeah, they were really nonchalant about that, which drove me insane.
Well, look, they're nursing students, so they care about children, and they
What?
contacted the spirit of a dead child named Annabelle Higgins.
Wait.
This is
Did they
in the
contact
movie.
it?
Is this in this movie?
Did they use like a
It's in the
Ouija
movie.
board?
I think somebody might have been talking very loudly and didn't hear this part of the
I will
movie,
admit that I was
which is why
talking because I get
didn't hear
nervous.
Giving us
this part of the
both
movie.
dirty
Yeah,
looks.
this is the pod mom lecturing the two pod children.
That's why
Yeah.
you don't know the story. They invited the ghost of this child into Annabelle, but it's never actually a child; it's usually a demon, and that's
And
what
also,
it is.
it doesn't really possess the doll, right? They sort of explain something like that. It just moves the doll around to make it
Yeah.
look like it's possessed.
Yes.
But I don't quite understand
Yeah, 'cause
this.
they keep the doll.
The doll becomes like
Yeah.
the vessel for it, but it ultimately wants to get into one of the girls.
I will say this: when he was saying that it's never the doll that's actually possessed, it's just the demon trying to get inside one of the girls. It cuts to the guy who has no line, and he's like, "Yeah, me too, dog.
Am I right?
I've been trying to get one of those girls too. Can I get a high five?"
All right, so then she's got red crayon and she's scribbling "Miss Me" all over
No,
the
no, they go
walls.
out to dinner for their nursing stuff.
Well, yeah, and then they come back and she's sitting in the hallway and she's got a red crayon on the.
They
in
find a
her
note that
hand.
says "Miss Me" at the front door.
Well, yeah, and then they throw her away, and then
She
they.
writes "Miss Me" all over the wall. Then they
Oh,
throw her
then they-
away.
yeah, they throw her away
Then
after
they
she
hear
finds it.
bonking.
Yeah,
in the
they
middle
thought
of the
she'd be a
night.
good roommate.
They
but
scare the
they
shit
were
out of
wrong.
Todd. Yeah.
Yeah, like you never do this. Like if you are, why do people stick around? Why does no one leave immediately?
Well, where are you going to go?
Anywhere,
For how
They
long? can you
invited-
stay?
forever.
What are you going to do with all your stuff? We'll talk
Burn
about this later.
it.
It just drew on the walls. It wasn't like it didn't even write anything bad. It's
Yeah, it's a happy little friendly ghost.
"Miss Me."
What are you going to do?
Hello, boys and girls. Did you miss me? Don't throw me in the dumpster.
We were only gone 20 minutes. We got takeout. You drew on all the walls.
We brought you some wonton soup.
You just have to get a crate for the ghost when you leave the house, and you just trick it.
Yeah, they really do say for the first year and a half, you really got to crate train your
It's
ghost.
for their own protection. It makes them feel
And
like
I know
they're back
you
in the. Yeah.
feel guilty, but they actually start that like that's their little home. They
It's like
feel
their
safe
little
there.
dent. Yeah, and then once they're used to it, you can just take the door off it, and then when they feel uncomfortable, they'll go in it on their own.
Yeah, it makes them feel more safe in your house.
So really, this whole movie could have been avoided with some proper crate training
Cesar
of a
Millan.
ghost. Cesar Millan, yeah, Cesar Millan could have come out and just really helped him out.
Yeah, there are classes.
Cesar Millan,
you
ghost
can
hunter.
take at
Get off that girl.
PetSmart, too. You get like a bottle of water and you just spray the ghost.
It's holy water.
Oh my God.
And you gotta have your little belt pack with the little tiny treats that you give them every time they do get in their
And
crate.
they're cross shaped.
All right, so what happens next?
So they're being interviewed by Ed and Lorraine Warren. So this is the first time we see them talk.
Oh yeah, we forgot about them.
Oh, yeah. The stars of
The
the
ghost hunter is.
Yeah, they're the scam artists. Yeah.
I got some fun facts about
Oh,
that
I
later.
bet you do.
Yeah. So they're interviewing these people about Annabelle.
Yeah.
Did you know Annabelle is a real doll?
What?
You
From
can
where?
see pictures of her online. She looks like Raggedy Ann. I think she's actually a Raggedy Ann doll. It's super creepy. Google Annabelle.
No.
And she's
What?
sitting in.
It's a real story?
Yeah. This is a real story too. Now, whether you believe the house was actually haunted.
No,
or
it's like
possession or
Amityville.
not.
It's like a proven fraud, right?
Well, I don't know. about
Amityville
this
is a
story.
proven fraud.
I got a book about that called The Night the DeFeos Died.
At this point in the movie, what we see is a text come up on the screen saying that they're really real people and that they really did scam people, saying that they were ghost hunters.
The movie doesn't say that. But
Ghost
we're saying
hunters? So the next thing that happens is what?
that. We're at the lecture hall, and it's a lecture about who they are. They're talking to a college class, and I think that the real Lorraine Warren actually has a cameo in this scene. I think she's in the front row of the class.
I don't think that we should be rewarding scam artists with
You
parts
should
of
reward them because
movies.
they had to pay them in this movie to use their likeness and name and all that crap.
And so this basically just kind of exists because they say, well, what do we call you? And say, well, I'm Ed and I'm Lorraine.
Some people call us crooks.
Yeah.
They do say that.
They do say that.
kooks and wackos and...
I think it says kooks, not crooks, but either are true.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
what they said in the scroll was that she is a clairvoyant and he is the only non-ordained demonologist recognized by the Catholic Church. And both of those things are true.
Which is why he couldn't do a exorcist.
Right. He couldn't
Exorcism,
actually,
sorry.
like he could probably go through the actions of doing it, but he couldn't do one that would be recognized
Well,
by
if you
the
stick
church.
around till the end, you might find out if he can or not.
Uh-oh. Spoilers. A wangy blanky.
Wangy, blangy. All right, so what's the next scene? Oh, this is where it cuts to the family.
Yeah, the family
with the
pulls
most
up-
unfortunate father because he had 5 daughters.
What's unfortunate
Wow.
about that?
The only thing
he
that's
probably
unfortunate
learned
about
a lot
that-
about himself.
That's a lot of dowries.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How many weddings does that guy have to pay for? And this isn't like he had $5 now where it's like, you know, you don't have to pay for all the weddings. But
Probably
this is
just
like
3.
in the 60s when you definitely had to pay all that. That's not fun.
I'm just going to wheel it on back. Beep. Beep.
Speaking of wheeling it on back with the beeping sound, the dad is a trucker in this movie.
He is. And he's Burger from Sex and the City, and I love him. It's Ron Livingston.
From Office Space.
Yeah, he was in
For
Office
every
Space.
man out there who doesn't know what the fuck Jen is talking
And
about.
for all middle-aged women and men, because this show is good, it's A Million Little Things. It's on ABC.
So this is where the guy from Office Space pulls up.
Everybody's going into their house. We find out the older daughter is pissed off about moving. We also see the
Yeah,
sister
she's
child.
real, like, moody.
They all go kind of investigate their new house, and the dog won't go in.
No, Sadie the dog is the
Yeah.
only fucking smart one in the whole family, and she will not go inside.
Is she the smartest one? though?
Yes.
Because she's the only one that doesn't make it out.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because they chained her up by the evil basement,
that's true.
and she couldn't get away, so it killed her.
I know. It was sad.
Yeah, it's real sad.
I'm pretty sure my dog would have been like, "Oh, I smell a demon. I'm gonna go join forces."
I want to go
because
smell its balls.
Yeah. My dog would be like, "Oh, we can work together and cause Michael more problems."
Your
in the
dog
long
is
run."
insane.
She's a demon.
She's beautiful, but she's insane.
Really?
Bit through my thumb. All I'm saying is that like demons and my dog have a lot in common.
They do.
and they both drink holy water.
What you're thinking of is toilet water. That's what you're thinking of. So anyway, they're looking around the house. They're looking at the rooms. There's a lot of furniture just still in the place.
It's a lot of weird drywall cracks.
Yeah,
Like,
this-
they don't paint
It's
it.
an old 70s house that was like old in the 50s house.
Yeah, it was probably built in like the 1860s, right?
And it's definitely haunted and evil. So then we see the youngest daughter out sitting by the tree by the lake, and she's got the creepiest music box in the world in her lap. And
It's
she-
a circus tent.
it is a circus tent with
It
a
is.
creepy
Okay.
clown
I was
inside.
wondering what that was. It is a circus tent.
And it's a cloudy mirror with a swirly thing.
And when
in
it spins, the mirror.
It's a hypnotizing mirror thing.
Mm-hmm.
At this point is when they try and get Sadie to come inside and she won't. And then that sort of ends the scene, right?
Yep, and then we get to the clapping game, and this is the first time we see it, but we're going to see it a couple more
And this time
times.
it's just the girls.
Let's pause
Yes.
for responsible parenting, or just parenting before the internet and cable TV.
Yeah, welcome to Parenting Corner. I'm Mikey and Todd.
The two of us that have no kids. Jen, we got this. Yeah, what I don't like is they're brand new in this house, Mikey, and they find it best to blindfold themselves and walk around like idiots.
Yeah, and there are boxes all over the
There's
place.
boxes and knives,
And they don't know where
Yeah,
the house is.
stairs.
Yeah.
And the house is haunted. Haven't they seen the walls?
I know. So
Yeah.
they're playing the clapping game.
And what the clapping game is when somebody's blindfolded.
No, not
and-
just somebody. The whole family, but one person.
Yeah, somebody's blindfolded, and then everybody else goes and hides in the house, and that blindfolded person wanders around, and the people that are hiding hiding clap.
I was wrong.
Did you think it was backwards?
I just thought everyone was blindfolded.
You think everyone who was hiding was blindfolded, and then the person who was trying to find them had the gift of sight? That is the easiest game to
I
win.
know.
Everyone was blindfolded.
Oh, okay. That game's still horrible. It's just a group full of people bumping into walls.
And then one person just laughing their ass off.
The ghost is like, oh my God.
Like putting things in their way and then running around and putting something in front of you.
But the girls play it, and this is where they discover the hole in the wall, like the closet-ish wall. One of them is hiding in the closet. The blindfolded girl goes into the closet and molests her into the wall, and it breaks.
She does lunge at her.
Yes.
Yeah. So hard that she busts a hole through the wall.
As you do. I busted holes through walls.
I find that very easy to believe.
Yeah, me too.
I've destroyed things very easily. I'm a bull in a world. That
I
is
think
a China shop.
Yeah,
Oh my
we went to
God.
Kansas City with you. We know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they find the stairs in the
hole
basement.
in the closet.
Right.
Yes, and this hole, it's like a boarded up wall down to an evil basement.
Just the basement, everyone.
I mean, but
It's evil as shit, Mikey.
Oh yeah.
You can tell. There's an
Did y'all
old.
grow up with basements?
Yes.
Did you go
No.
down there?
Yes.
I didn't have any basements.
Was it evil?
Yes.
That's why Todd's a ghost.
Yeah. Wait, what? No, seriously. We had a basement in a few of the houses I grew up in.
Okay, so the next thing that happens is Dad goes down into the creepy, cobwebby secret basement they just found.
With a match.
Oh my God,
Bring
that's
me my
so
matches.
stupid.
They're poor. They got to save the
No,
batteries
they have
for the
flash.
flashlights.
This movie is riddled with flashlights.
Flashlights are cutting edge technology back then.
They had flashlights
That's like
in the
taking
40s.
your iPhone down the basement. Which, I
No,
mean,
it's
of course
not. And you would do that. You would
Now.
definitely do that. But they had flashlights in the 40s, Mikey. So down there, he doesn't really find anything when he goes down there. Except
No,
for
he
this.
finds
player piano.
An evil piano. That piano is evil.
It never comes back in the movie. as
Actually,
evil.
Mikey has a point. That piano is guilty by association at
Yeah,
best.
nothing ever happens with that piano.
Maybe the piano picks up the shotgun at the end and starts shooting it.
I
You
think
ever
that is
about
what
that?
happens.
You ever think about that, Mikey?
Who shot the shotgun, Mikey?
Oh, shot the shotgun!
It was
I bet
the
it was a
evil piano.
Yeah. All right. So he goes downstairs. They see all this furniture, and he's just like, you know what? I'll come down tomorrow and we'll figure this whole thing out, more or less.
Yeah, but I mean, this would actually be pretty cool if you moved to a house. There was a secret basement with all these antiques in it.
No.
All of those antiques will be haunted.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why you sell them all, and you get a little money to put paint on the walls.
And that's why listeners don't buy antiques, because they're haunted. Somebody found them in their haunted basement.
oh my God, they tried to flip this house, but this house flipped them. Yeah,
The house flipped her upside down.
yeah, right.
Oh, they christened the new house too.
And by christen, she means boning in the bedroom.
But I think it's meant to show they have a good relationship.
They do have a good
Especially
relationship.
they've got grown children. They've been together for a while.
Oh, yeah, they have.
You
He's
know.
pretty muted, like defeated by this whole family.
I'll say this, though. I feel like without this scene, you really are questioning why she has so many bruises throughout the movie. But I mean, they do have a good relationship. But
They
like,
do.
if your neighbor was like, hey, we're just moving to the neighborhood, and then the next time you saw her, she had a bunch of bruises and then progressively got more and more bruises, you'd be like, you need to call the cops.
I gotta get out of here.
Exactly. You would want to leave.
Okay, so the next thing we see is they wake up and the mom has a bruise. She knows.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the
And she was
first
like, what did you
bruise.
do to me last night?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know. I've been phoning our sex for the past 12 years. I have no
I got
idea.
hypnotized in the middle of the last sex
Bruises
we
on her
had.
shin. So I'm like, what did you
Yeah,
think
like,
happened last
really?
night?
What could have happened? What
Maybe
position bruises your
They were
shin,
playing
Jen?
blindfold
wheelbarrow.
clap. You're not doing the wheelbarrow right.
Yeah, I don't think you're doing the wheelbarrow
bruises
right.
on your shin.
You should be holding her shin if you're doing the wheelbarrow
Oh my
right.
God, this is why I'm single.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you call sex the wheelbarrow.
So what we find out, they say the heater is down in the basement, which has been boarded
Furnace,
up. And
furnace.
so what? The furnace. And so what did you say, Todd? You said that's how
Oh, yeah. I
know.
was like, then you could not have bought that house because it would not have passed inspection.
Was there inspections back then, though?
I don't know. Hey, 70s people, can you tell us?
But yeah, so the dad is downstairs sort of like going through, and as the mom is walking downstairs, he's like screwing in the light bulb. So it's a little
Yeah.
tense because it's like flickering light or whatever. And then when she gets down there, it reveals that it's just her husband down there. And he's like, oh yeah, I got to get the furnace on because
Which
it's
was
so
down
cold
in the
here.
boarded up basement.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
Well, and so one of the fun facts that I had was that in the state of Rhode Island, you are not required to tell people the history of the house when you're buying it, which is why they could sell the house without telling about all of the
Is that still a
murderous
law to
women.
this day?
I mean, my Wikipedia search says that it is, but I don't know for sure.
Don't come here for facts, but do come here for Jen fun facts.
That's why it's the smallest state.
We also find out that the clocks have been stopping at 3:07.
Yes,
every
because
night,
that's when the evil happens.
It does, yes. So now what we need to introduce is a ticking clock in their house.
Oh my God.
Oh, do you think their
Like the
watches
clocks?
stop like that?
Yeah, I think all
think-
the watches stop. I think all the clock devices stop at 3:07.
think they
There
had
were no
watches in the
digital
70s.
devices at this point.
Well, haunted clock's still right twice a day, Todd.
That is true, Mikey.
Oh, and then we hear the youngest girl screaming in the backyard, and we find Sadie, the dog, who's dead.
This is hard for me, man. I hate when dogs die. Like it's the saddest to me.
I used
Yeah.
to before my current puppy.
Oh. But yeah, like
Wow.
I don't know, man. It's just hard for me. I miss my dog. But yeah, so like it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Ron Livingston nonchalantly goes and checks its pulse.
It looked more to me like he was covering its neck because something had slit its throat, and his daughter was right there looking at it.
No, I think the movie would have showed it because
I don't think it. I mean, it
I'm
didn't
kind of
show
glad
it.
they didn't
Yeah,
really
me too.
lean
I-
into this. They
yeah.
didn't show too much of it because for a while I was like, well, maybe the dog's just sick. And then we see the mound with the cross that
Yeah,
says
it says
Sadie
Sadie
on
on
it.
it.
That's how we know the dog died. But we really only see the dog once or twice too.
Really, just that first scene where it won't go in the house, and then that's it.
And then they hear her outside and they talk about her when they're about to get busy on the first night. So that's kind of just
Getting busy.
Sadie's barking. Who cares?
Yeah, because you gotta get it, ma'am.
It's dick o'clock.
Oh,
My clock is stopped.
3:07 is dick o'clock.
Holy shit, guys. I want a shirt that says 3:07, and then underneath it says it's dick o'clock.
And you know what? Dick o'clock is right all day long.
Somebody design a shirt right now.
I don't know if
will
I want
buy
to
that
see
shirt.
a dick
New
o'clock
merch.
shirt.
Yeah, new merch
Because
for
what-
sure.
What do we think?
It's a dick.
The orb.
It's obviously
I don't
a
want to
dick.
see it. No, dick pics are,
Guys, never send an unsolicited dick pic.
or just don't send them at all.
No, they're fine if
No,
the girl asks
I-
for it. If a girl asks you for a dick pic, just send her a picture of a clock stuck at 3:07 because
like,
it's dick o'clock.
What time you picking me up tonight? Dick o'clock. Oh, so 3:07?
Mikey, I think I understand why you're not getting on these dates.
Yeah, why
I'm getting on them. I just
you keep getting
But I'm not getting off
getting
them.
off of. Yeah.
So then we go to the Warrens' house and we see the museum.
Yeah, so it sort of like cuts back and forth between the Warrens, the scam artists, and the family that's being haunted, right? So the scam artists
I think you
are
mean
showing
the
a guy.
heroes of the movie.
Yeah, the scam artists are showing this guy through their
Todd's got some feelings about the
sort
Warrens.
of.
Was he? What was that guy's story?
I think he's just like a reporter. Maybe.
Yeah, I think he was a
That's what I
reporter because he did
imagine.
have a tape recorder and he was like recording sort of like an interview type style.
Yeah.
But it seemed more like he was going to write a report later than use the audio.
Yes.
So anyway, so Scam Dad is talking to the reporter
Warren.
inside their
museum
of
haunted
horrors.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a guest bedroom. Let's be honest.
Converted guest bedroom, and it's got a bunch of artifacts.
It
Or
really
maybe not
does.
artifacts because they're not
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, but it's
This
like a
is
bunch of
the
haunted
prop
items.
studio for all of the future spin-off franchises.
No, it's basically like the first part of Crackle Barrel.
yeah.
Oh
true.
my God.
It's iconic
It
Cracker
is.
Barrel. Mhm.
It's like you walk in, you got 20-minute wait, and then you can go on the porch, play checkers. Or
I do think at one point you see their daughter playing a kazoo in the museum.
Or you can go look at the Annabelle doll, real expensive. No one ever buys it.
Yeah.
But he then explains to the reporter that everything in that room is haunted.
Yes.
And we see the Annabelle doll. We see the picture of the nun from the movie The Nun that we did. I think it's episode 16.
That's the most recent one. This is the very first one in the
Yeah.
universe. Yeah, and they talk about how they have a priest come out every month to bless the room, and the reporter is saying, "Why would you want all this stuff in your house?" And he's saying, "But they're all trapped inside these vessels right now, and it's safer." I mean, this is
We gotta
his
keep the
logic.
genie in the bottle.
Exactly, it's safer to keep them trapped in this Annabelle doll that we've got them in, rather than destroy the artifact and then they're not
Yeah,
trapped
but couldn't you just
anymore.
like rent some storage space?
Yeah. And then you'd never have to go there. And you would just be like, hey, priest, go to my storage space and throw some holy water on
But
it.
then what if some dick kid breaks in at Dick
Then
o'clock?
he would die.
That
But
would
then
be.
that kid, I mean, the demon's going to come back and get the warrant.
That actually sounds like a way better spin-off movie than their spin-off movies.
Yeah, I'll buy it.
So we go from the scam artist. Is it the Warren family?
It's the Warren family,
Ed
yes.
and Lorraine.
Ed and Lorraine
So
Warren.
we go from Ed and Lorraine to who?
The dad is wandering around at night and he sees the door door open.
So it zooms out from the staticky TV, and we see Ron Livingston asleep on his desk.
Looks like he was like doing businessy paperwork, maybe
And he's
accounting.
got his glass next to him. So,
Scotch, yeah, he's got like
This is like super meta, but I think he was actually going over his route because in the next scene, he's talking to his wife about the route to Florida he's going to take that's going to have him out for a week.
Well, they also talk
But
about
that's not really
they also talked
important.
about his rates, and he was talking about, you know,
Yeah.
this is a little lower. I don't know if I can make my bills or whatever. So maybe he was doing the budget.
None of that's really super important, but it's probably something like
The
that.
most important thing in the film.
What?
He gets woken up and he's wandering around the dark, creepy house and he sees a door open and then he turns around and the daughter's on the steps and that's
Yeah.
scared Todd.
Why?
It all scared Todd.
It all scared me.
Yeah, I hate.
We should talk about that. This movie is scary from like minute 1 all the way to the end.
It really is.
And it's just really intense the whole way.
Yeah,
through.
from that Annabelle doll, when I was like, I'm out. It was freaky the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
The dad wakes up, the older daughter's on the stairs. She's like, the other or Sadie or what's her face is sleepwalking again.
Sadie's the dead dog.
I never learned the daughter.
Me either.
Yeah, it's middle daughter, and it's the daughter who is in Twilight. Okay,
Gibraltar,
so then
really.
we have the next morning, and the mom wakes up with even.
Wait, did we talk enough about the kid hitting her head on the
Yeah,
wardrobe?
because I don't think anything else happens.
I don't
with
think it
that.
does either.
it's
I think it just
creepy.
sets up the fact that she does sleepwalk, right?
Yes, and it just sets like an underlying.
And it's
eerie
and we
vibe.
learned that wardrobe was in the house
Already.
Yes.
already.
So yeah, all the daughters go off to school except for the youngest one. She's
Who's
playing,
not young enough not to go to
Yeah,
school.
she's clearly a first grader, so I don't know what's going on in this house. But anyway,
It's a movie.
so she's talking to someone, and the mom is kind of wandering around the house, probably cleaning or doing whatever. We see the daughter talking to someone, and then we open the door just enough to realize that she's not talking to anyone.
Yeah, she's talking
an
to no
empty
one.
chair.
Yeah, there's an
Yeah.
empty
It's
chair.
freaky.
And so then she and the mom start playing the clap game.
No, because the daughter's like, I met my friend here. You can see him in
Oh,
the,
yeah,
you
yeah,
can
and
see
she
him
looks in the music box.
creepy music box.
But she doesn't see anything, right?
She doesn't, but it still scared the shit out of Todd because I wrote Todd jumps.
I don't want to talk about that.
And I don't even remember what it was.
remember
It was
either.
probably just music. I honestly, in things like this, the more tense
no.
it is, what?
I remember what it was, and we got a video of this. Okay, so she's looking at the music box, and then the tiny little girl jumps behind the mom and says, "Boo!" And Todd
Yeah.
lost his shit
Yeah. It's
and
scary.
said, "Fuck you, kid."
oh, yeah. He said, fuck you, kid.
I remember that.
It's immortalized on my phone. Too.
I hate it. In this movie, it's really that when you don't see it and it's building the suspense, that's the worst part for me.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, and we'll get there, but the exorcism part is not that scary to me because I can see the evil. I
Mm-hmm.
know where it is. It's not going to pop out from behind things, right?
Yes. And there's
It's-
a lot of popping out of things.
This movie
Yeah.
stays pop out scary the whole time.
Yeah,
until the
until
very
like
end.
the last 15 minutes,
Yeah.
it is very suspenseful, pop out scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's when they start playing the blindfoldy clappy game.
Yes.
As you do with one other person in a house
Yeah.
by herself, because she bumps into the railing to almost falls down the stairs. I'm
Yes.
Like, yeah, I wonder how she got those bruises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's clear now. You're just dumb.
Okay, so then
Think
she
of
walks
the
in.
stub toes of this
Yeah.
game.
You got to play with shoes on. Okay, so then
Yeah, dude.
we see she's listening and she's going in, and we see she goes into the room with the wardrobe, and she's hearing clapping come from the wardrobe, and the wardrobe doors
Swing
either open
open
or are
slowly.
do they slowly?
They open
swing
slowly, yeah.
And then we see
And she goes, second clap.
yeah, and then we see grown-up sized hands clapping from outside of the clothes of the wardrobe.
Yeah.
Go through the clothes and they
Mm-hmm.
clap, clap.
And then she goes up and she like kind of like pushes the clothes aside. We see there's nothing there, and then she sees the daughter coming from another room.
I saw this part in the trailer and it scared the shit out of me in the trailer. Like I was looking around my room in the trailer.
It was this scene that made me realize that this movie is still scary on the second watch.
Yeah, because I think the underlying tone of the movie is scary, but also the jump scares are they're effective. I don't really think there are many cheap jump scares in this movie. you know? So then we see the next scene where Berger is talking on the phone about the next truck drive.
Berger
that
is
he's
Ron
gonna go.
Livingston.
Yes, also known as the father. And they're talking on the phone about his next truck drive, and we see it's half his rate, but he's got to take it anyways, which lets you know that they're having financial problems.
Look at that house.
Right.
They're having financial problems.
Okay, so and they've already
That
talked
house
about
is huge.
They've already talked about,
piece of
but
shit
it's
house,
haunted,
though.
which is how
Yeah.
they bought it for cheap. And so this kind of goes back into the Amityville horror. And I've often thought about this with haunted houses. Like, yes, we say, or Todd said a billion times, I would just move, I would get the fuck out. But everything you own is in that house. All of your money is tied up in that house. Like, yeah, how many nights can you afford to stay in a hotel?
Yo, Nashville is
What are
so
you gonna
expensive.
do?
I would totally buy a haunted house.
You go to East Nashville. So you set it on fire and collect the insurance money. 100%.
It's foolproof.
Yeah.
We are not recommending arson. But if your house is haunted, what other plan do you have?
Allegedly set it on fire.
Blanky, blanky.
Blanky, blanky.
Yeah. No, but seriously, like, how bad would it have to get for you to leave everything that you own?
The first time something pulled my leg at 3:07 a.m., I would run out of the house and never return.
Like a practical joke? Like pulling your leg?
Yeah, that's what it was. The first time Ashton Kutcher broke into my apartment and punked me.
I love Ashton Kutcher.
Oh, my God. Dak Shepard, I'm on to you.
Bro.
Stick a clock, bro.
Gross. He would say that.
You've been punked.
But seriously, like, I mean, if they leave, they don't have anything. They're going to have to, like, live in his truck.
Yeah, that's
In the
possible.
station wagon,
You can do that. You know what's not haunted? His truck. Let's leave.
Yeah, well, maybe unless the ghost attaches to the truck.
Although when we do find out, and I like this because they explain that once the scam artists come and try to start scamming them, they do
Cause
explain
feelings
why they
about the
can't
ones.
just leave the house.
Right.
That's the movie.
Because it's attaching to them, it's coming from the house, but it's attaching to
Yeah,
them.
it's
It
like
was-
a stray cat. It just like
Yeah.
it grows attached.
And
Yeah.
at one point, they try to take her out of the house, and her flesh
Almost
starts
kills her.
burning. So then we see the sister in bed, and she, like a monster, is sleeping with her feet out from under the covers. So
She's hot, Jen.
she's begging to get her feet dragged. So the logic,
She's begging for Dak Shepard
She's
to
not
run in there and
dressed
grab her
like
leg.
she's asking for a haunting, okay?
I think she is. Is her collar popped?
Yeah, why do pajamas have collars?
Man, the collar game in this movie was on point. There was a ruffly collar towards the middle of this movie that was insane.
It was the 70s.
It was amazing.
Like what are they like? What you gonna wear a tie to your pajamas?
I mean, what if your neck gets cold while you're sleeping? You can't wear a scarf when you're sleeping. You might choke. So anyways, she's got her feet out. She doesn't have her ghost repellent blanket on her feet. And so the ghost pulls her foot and wakes her up.
It's because her stupid sister is probably like really cold natured, so they have to turn the heat up. And like we've all slept with someone who's cold natured, and they turn the heat up, and you have to take your feet out of the blankets because this person is a monster.
Or shared an office with that person.
Yes.
I've done that. I'll sometimes sleep with one leg outside the cover, one leg under the cover.
Yeah, dating someone like that is terrible. Like you just put more blankets on the thing. Anyway, so the ghost pulls her leg because her sister is a monster who wants it really hot in the room.
Yes. And so she sees that someone is behind the. Oh, no. First, she goes to look underneath the bed.
under the
And
bed.
I love
Todd
how they do
freaked
this
out,
because
yeah.
you think that there's
God.
going to be something under the bed, and
I
there
did.
isn't. But then from looking under the bed, we can see from across the room that the door is moving just a little bit and that there's someone.
And she can't do. Her head's under the bed looking at the door, and it goes,
Yeah, and then and it's kind of a cool camera flip thing because then she's back up. She's sitting on her bed. She's looking. She wakes her sister up. She starts crying. And we just see this black space behind the door. And she says, there's something behind the door. And
there's
then
someone. There's
someone
a person
behind the door. It's standing right behind the door. So sister gets up to check it out.
Puts her
and she
glasses
goes-
on.
Yeah, and she goes in the glasses sister. Yes, she goes to look. And she says, there's nobody there. And she turns around and she's looking at the sister. And the sister says, standing right behind you.
Oh my God. Honestly, both those girls were great in this
then
They
scene.
really were.
It was so scary.
It scares Todd.
It
Oh
did-
yeah,
it
I
did scare
freaked
me.
out.
Scared us all.
I freaked out at this point.
There's a problem in this movie called people don't scream for help fast enough.
Yeah.
Like she wakes her sister up and they're both staring at the corner, and I would be like, scream for dad immediately.
Well, what if you scream and the ghost comes and gets you?
Your dad's on the way.
Yeah. I would be like, there's like 19 people in this house. I should be like,
I don't know. I think it's more like a Frozen fear, like deer in headlights kind of thing a lot of times.
the sister wasn't like that. She like put her glasses on. She's like,
Because the sister couldn't see it.
Well, actually, there is no ghost over there.
Got my
I
ghost
would go over there,
glasses on. But she doesn't have the special 13 ghost glasses.
But she does. Yeah, she does go over there, and she's like, "There's nothing over here. Oh, it smells like rotting flesh or
Yes.
something like that."
It smells like the blood of 1,000 corpses.
because
Okay, so then she screams and everybody comes in and she's talking to the dad and she's crying and she says that she talked to her and that she said she wants her family dead.
oh yeah, that part's super creepy.
It is. Yeah, this whole scene is really creepy and really effective.
So this is when we go to Ed and Lorraine's house, and they're out talking by the garden, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the grandmother's doing the laundry. And he's
Right.
like, I'm going to the store to pick up some things. And
Yes.
she's
They're
like, don't you try to lie to me. You're a terrible liar.
Yeah.
And then he goes, I'm actually going ghost hunting.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Now, without me, you're not. Let me get dressed."
And then they just leave their daughter because they've got just.
Well, and Grandma's there to take care of the daughter. Yeah.
No, I know, but I mean, they didn't have to like make any kind of plans.
I
for
want to
her.
see the movie from the grandma's perspective, who's just like, I wish my daughter and her husband would like
Care
value
for their child.
Yeah, care for their child and not go ghost hunting. Or
She had to move into their house to make sure that child got good care.
With the haunted museum. She had to move into
if
the
you're
haunted
at least
museum
gonna
house.
move me in, like give me the guest room. Don't put all your haunted crap in there.
Right.
She sleeps in the loft attic apartment.
Under the stairs, like Harry Potter.
So this is when we see them in the attic of some random person's house
Yes.
that we don't know. And
It's a couple.
this scene only exists to show that they aren't scam artists,
Yes.
even though they are in real life scam artists. And I will acknowledge in this movie they're not scam artists because this movie posits the theory
Yes.
that this is a real thing, even though it's not. In real life, they were scam artists.
Yes.
Fun fact.
Yeah, I'll have fun facts about that.
Wait for it. I'm
kind of.
really doubling down on the fact that in real life they're scam artists, and I'm going to feel like a heel if they're not.
Yeah, when
Like,
you get home
fun
and you're
fact.
haunted now, and then you have to call Lorraine Warren and Ed Warren back from the dead to save you from this ghost.
Yeah, what if the fun fact is like, fun fact, Ed and Lorraine Warren discovered ghosts.
Yeah. And now they're in your house, Todd.
Why would you put that on me?
Aw. It's kind of
I'm
like
already
glue.
going to have trouble sleeping tonight.
Aw.
It's 10:09. I am terrified to go home. If I wake up at 3, I'm not going to go back to sleep. Don't laugh
Siri,
like that.
set a reminder to call Todd at
I'll kill
3:07.
you. No.
So the next thing that happens, this is going to be a fun thing to talk about, because the mom is now wandering around the house at night when everybody's asleep because she heard something funny, and so she walks up the steps and we see all the pictures on the wall, and then and then we hear a giant crash.
Oh, my
and all the
God.
pictures
This
fall
scared
down.
the shit out of me.
And Todd, cartoon style, flips his phone up in the air.
So this is.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I'm so
Shaggy
afraid.
threw his smartphone in the air.
I'm so mad at you guys right now. You know what the worst part of this is I wasn't even looking at the screen. I was so scared. I was having to and I'll do this occasionally throughout the movies. I need
You gotta
a
second
break.
screen it?
So I have to second screen it. And I was
I told him to put
literally,
his phone down.
Yeah.
I was responding to someone's message on Twitter and I flipped my phone because just the music alone scared me enough that I jerked and my phone went straight up in the air and it was
I'm
very
so
terrifying.
Sad I didn't catch it. Yeah.
No one would believe it. And, even if you caught that on film, people would be like, Todd's faking it.
Yeah.
But he's not faking it. It was literally that
didn't.
ridiculous.
He flipped his phone up in the air, higher than his head. It did a couple 360s.
It was like a cartoon.
And he went,
It was.
and he was hot potatoing in his hands. For
Oh, he looks mad that we're talking about this.
Not very happy. I was very scared.
Let's talk about never.
Okay, so then we noticed that all the pictures have crashed down on the floor, and then she gets pushed down the stairs.
Yeah, she does.
She's going. She gets pushed down the stairs in the creepy basement.
No. The
stairs.
basement door opens and she hears laughing or creepy ghosty sounds.
And she says, she peers in. She says, if anybody's down there, I'm closing the door right now. And then the door slams.
I'm gonna lock you in here.
And knocks her down the stairs. So now
Yeah.
she's locked in the creepy basement stairs. And then she's looking around at all the creepy haunted furniture. And then a ball falls down.
No,
and
the
then,
light bulb explodes.
Yeah, it blows up,
Yeah.
Jen. This whole thing is so scary. And they are this movie is a master of suspense.
It really is, yeah.
Which
It drags it out. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not going to. Okay.
This is one of the scariest scenes of the movie.
I've never seen Jaws, but everyone says that movie is really scary because you never really see Jaws until the very end or something. And I don't know. It came out in the 80s. I'm sure it doesn't hold up as well as this
70s.
movie does. 70s. Wow. Okay.
Jaws does hold up.
Okay. Fair
Oh,
enough.
yeah, it does. We're
I'm
going to watch it.
I'm
for
sure we'll watch it at some point. But
Yeah, it's one of my
but
favorites.
you don't see anything in this scene, really. You see the hands.
Yeah,
but
you
you don't
don't.
really see anything other than the hands, and the hands aren't excessively scary on their
they're
own
excessively
right.
scared. I was scared.
I was
Man.
terrified, but that's what I mean. They do such a good job of building suspense.
And then maintaining it because once you
Yeah.
have a jump scare, in lots of movies, you have that jump scare, and then we all can laugh and the pressure,
Yeah,
they
they
dump
don't
the
do that.
pressure off. But here, you have the jump scare, and then we're still in it, and
Yeah.
then you've got another jump scare, and then another one, and it's
The
just
light bulb
intense.
explodes, which is a jump scare.
Yes.
The next thing you know, she's at the top of the stairs. She lights a match. Where'd you get the matches from?
Because the husband puts it, Ron Livingston
yeah,
puts
that's
it
right.
down as he's leaving.
pronounced burger.
Yeah.
So she's got the match. She's not trying to get out. She's just freaking out. And then
And then the clap behind her, and then Todd flipped his phone up in the air again, even though he knew this was coming because he saw it in the trailer.
Yeah.
And I think he flipped his phone even higher this time.
I don't.
do you
I
think
don't
they
I-
hired a hand model to have ghost hands?
Yeah, I think so.
who did.
Do you think they were like, hey, we need some real creepy pale hands for this movie casting call?
I bet it was casting couch hand job.
Let me show me what I can do with those hands to get me this job.
Oh, I'll
Do you
give you the
want
clap.
this? How about you want this hand job?
Why don't they just cover this house in penicillin?
I'll say this about that scene. I knew it was coming because I watched the trailer for Patreon, and this is like the build-up in the trailer. And even the trailer does sort of what you're talking about, and this scene does it really well. It builds up to a scare, but then that scare doesn't release any. It's just the new plateau.
Yeah.
And then it goes up again, and then that plateaus, and then it goes up again. And like the whole movie is just building and building and building and building.
I remember watching that trailer in the theaters and being scared of the trailer.
Oh, man.
Because right after this hand clap, we go upstairs and we see the sister is bonking her head
But more
against the
aggressively
thing.
than before.
Yeah,
Yes.
on the Narnia thing.
And then the
Wardrobe,
glasses
Mikey.
sister,
The witch's wardrobe.
the glasses.
It is
sister,
the witch's
It is
wardrobe.
the witch's wardrobe.
No lying, but Witch's Wardrobe is in this movie.
We're
C.S.
not
Lewis
lying.
should sue.
It's the witch's wardrobe.
What? Nailed it.
Okay, so the sister is beating her head against the wardrobe, and then Glass's sister puts her to bed, and then we see from behind that now the wardrobe is opening itself, and we see the door kind of just slamming.
This is where I kicked the footstool. Yeah, or not
we got
footstool,
a
but the
video. I think we
footrest.
posted this video.
This is the one we posted on social,
Yeah.
because they lead the girl back to bed. This one is asleep. As she wakes up, the other girl is
sitting
walking
up.
towards, she's sitting up. The other girl is walking towards the wardrobe to close the wardrobe doors, and then they see the witch on top of the wardrobe, and it
Yes.
scared the shit out of me. It was
Yeah.
terrifying.
Very creepy.
It is,
and
and this
very-
is the first time we see her. Yeah, and she's just sitting on top of the wardrobe with that creepy witch smile.
She looks like Linda Blair from The Exorcist.
Like grown-up Linda Blair.
It does have a little Exorcist vibe to it. I'll give you that. Yeah.
It does, and it's a little cartoony. Like she's got a cartoony witch face. I
this
think.
scene works because they don't stay on it very long.
Yes, exactly.
But
she's
in the
not
end, I
green,
think you're right
but-
when it stays.
It's
on the
real
witch's
quick.
face,
Like it
you're
jumps, she jumps down on the girl, and then it cuts.
But it is very clear when it is the witch because she's got a very striking, like, witchy face.
Yes.
Ooh, witchy face. Okay, so then the dad gets home and there's just chaos because the mom's still locked down in the closet. She's banging on the door. So he opens her up, and the sister, I think, has been attacked by the witch, but you can't see her. So she's just kind of rolling around on the floor. So everybody is freaking out, and he's like, "What's going on?"
He's
It's
like,
just-
it's Dick o'clock. What's going on?
The next thing we see is the lecture, and they're giving. This is, I think, when we see the scene from The Nun.
Yeah, well, I think they just used this scene in The Nun.
I think so too. Yeah. And they're explaining exorcism. I think it's infestation, oppression, and possession, but they're basically explaining the stages that we are watching happen.
We don't
in
really
this
know what
movie.
happened because we were talking.
I mean, I've seen possession movies. I know what was happening.
Yeah, they're explaining the trajectory of the movie, and the mom is in the audience. And then after that, we see them walk into their car, and then assistant man brings mom up and says, "Something's happening in my house. Can you please come look?"
Yes.
Yeah,
no.
my house, my family. Please come.
And they have to talk them into it for a minute, but eventually they say yes. And so that's when they come to the house.
How much time has elapsed? Do you think during this whole thing?
A couple weeks, I'd say.
And you mean from the point when they moved in till now? Probably a couple weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it was maybe even a little bit longer. Because like she's like, it sounded like she took a while to track them down.
It could be.
Honestly, okay, so in my mind, the only way it would be okay for me to stay in a house that's haunted like this, there would have to be months in between weird shit happening, right? Because you'd have to get more comfortable in the place again. Like if you just moved in, that first night crazy shit happens, and then every night crazy shit happens, you're moving.
Yeah.
So the only way it makes sense to me is if it's been a few weeks.
That's what I'm thinking. Too.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
like
So, I mean, in the-
like once a week something really bad happens.
But
Right,
it has
in the
progressed
movie-
to the point that they say they're all sleeping down in the living room together,
Yes.
too, because nobody wants to sleep
By
in
the
their
point the
bedrooms.
scam artists show up. Yeah.
The Warrens show up, yeah.
Right, scam artists.
Okay.
Can't wait for those fun facts, man.
I'm excited about it.
I've got some very fun facts for this episode.
Yeah, you've been teasing these fun facts.
Yeah, we've heard about it.
They're walking in, and Lorraine is looking around, and she's kind of getting these looks on her face. They are talking about what's been happening in the house. They say one of the things is a rancid smell that they
Yes.
hear, which might be a sign of
I think they refer to it as like rotting meat.
Yeah. So then we also hear that there have been birds banging against the glass, and we saw that, I think, right around the time the dog was killed. We saw
Periodically
Yeah.
throughout the film, a bird kills itself on the house.
Yeah. And that's when they talk about the clock stopping at 3:07 and the pictures falling. So this is kind of a summary of everything that's been going around in the house. Then Lorraine goes down into the cellar and she hears some stuff. Then we have the kitchen interview, and they're talking to the parents, but Patrick or Ed is talking to the parents, but Lorraine is talking to the youngest daughter, and she's checking out this music box, and she's looking around the room.
The music box is creepy. It spins. There's a mirror with a spiral. There's a creepy clown head that pops up and down.
It's creepy. And then we see a creepy pilgrim looking boy who just kind of is standing in the
He
background.
looks like quite the fancy lad.
Yeah.
He does, yeah. Yeah.
He
He's a
doesn't
chap.
look too scary.
I mean, except that he's a ghost, but yeah. So she goes out and she stands on the dock right under the tree, and then Ed comes out to talk to her and is like, why are you so upset? And we see the feet behind her. So she can see this woman hanging from the tree, but he can't see her.
Yeah.
At this point, we should mention that there's this running thing between Ed and Lorraine about what did you tell me on our wedding night?
Oh, yeah, that God brought us together.
God brought us together.
Yeah, it was okay.
And they tie it back in later.
Yeah.
They
I'm not
do.
against
That's
it.
why I'm bringing it up now, because it ties back in at the end.
Yeah.
Then they're saying we think the house needs an exorcism. And they say that Lorraine has seen a dark entity and it's behind the mom and it's behind the girls, and saying it's kind of like gum. Once it kind of attaches to you, it doesn't really matter where they move. If the ghost wants to, the ghost is going to follow them.
Yes, and this is sort of how it explains that, and it explains that they can't just leave, which I liked. I thought
I did too.
It made me understand why they just stayed in the house.
Todd and I like when the movies explain the rules, because we always are like, well, you would just fly away. And
Yeah.
then you would be fine.
We see them at the Warren house, and the daughter has given Lorraine a locket, which will come back into play. And one's
Yes.
got her picture, and the other one's got the mom and dad's picture in it. So then we see they're sitting down and telling the story of the house because they've been doing some research. And they're saying that a woman named Bathsheba.
Bathsheba.
It's a biblical name.
But she was actually a woman. Yes, it is a biblical name, but she was a woman, and she had
In
a
like
baby.
the 1800s-ish times,
Yes.
right? Maybe 1900s.
And she was the original, or she was the first person who lived in that
the
house,
original
I think?
owner, yeah.
Yeah, so she had a baby and then sacrificed it like 7 days
Didn't they say she
later.
was like survived the witch trials or something?
I think so. Yeah, I
And
don't.
she married a guy and had a baby.
Someone
Yeah.
may or may not have been talking while the exposition.
I
of
talk
this
'cause I get
scene was
scared.
going on. Oh, I know. Okay, so she sacrificed herself and then she hangs herself, and that was kind of like her gift to Satan, is how they explain it. That the fact that she is a woman, the way they explain it is that God has given her this gift of creating a child, and she's used it against him by using that gift against him and sacrificing her child. I don't know how
Right,
well
and then
I
she
said
killed herself, yeah.
that. She killed herself at 3:07. That's
Right.
when the
She
time of
runs
death
outside
is.
to the tree, but as she does it, she declares, kind of on a tangent, like, if you try to take my land, I'm going to curse you.
Yeah, that seems weird, right?
Right. She sacrifices a child for Satan, runs outside. Now she's all about her land.
She's worried about land rights?
Yeah.
So then they talk about the pilgrim boy that we've seen and his mother, and
Because they're the next group to move in.
they are the next group to move in, and that he disappeared and that she killed herself in the basement. So
Yeah.
now we kind of get an explanation for why the basement's so haunted. And then
Yeah, it seems like for every haunted place in the house, there is a story of a new family that moved in after the witch.
yeah. And I was trying to keep up with them and write them all down, and I kind of lost the thread because she just kept talking about people
And there
that
are
had
a lot.
died
There's like-
and
yeah, there's
killed
like 4.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a theme of someone killing other people and then killing themselves.
Yeah.
Murder-suicide
Yeah,
is what that's called.
murder-suicide
Yeah.
is the technical term. And then the tape where they record, I just wrote down lots of death. And then the tape turns itself on, and we hear the interview, and then we hear, and I don't know what else we hear. Don't
That's
they say?
actually the noise I make when my alarm goes off. I'm like,
All right.
Gross. But yeah, so this is where we find out that their tape is like hearing the voices or
Yes.
whatever. Yeah.
And then we get an investigation setup montage.
Yeah, setting
set
up
to
a camera
workity-
montage. Gonna find some sexy ghosts. Snap their little pictures.
Pause your montage.
They're the ones I love the most. Go.
we get introduced to Brett the cop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
You know he's a cop because he has a wicked ass mustache.
And they talk about it. He's like, hey, did you remember that I'm a cop? And the assistant who helps with the cameras and stuff and the black lights and all
Is
that.
his name Chad?
I think it's Drew.
Drew. It was Drew.
Yes.
I knew it was
just
a
called him
4.
assistant. Flirty
Yeah, assistant guy. He's,
Because he hits on the oldest daughter. Okay.
So they set up all the cameras to ghost hunt.
Yes, and it's a fun little montage where everybody
It's
gets
not just cameras though. They set up microphones in the hotspot rooms.
Yep.
So they not only capture still pictures but also audio.
This movie doesn't make any sense because when the cameras do take pictures, they're like, it doesn't take pictures of people. And they just explain how that all works.
It's ghost photography.
Yeah, it's ghostography, but I'm not quite sure how it works either, and I'm not sure they ever explain it. But so they set up all the cameras and the audio equipment.
Yes. Oh, and then I said we had some lady bonding because the mom and Lorraine are talking to each other, and this is when we see the most photoshopped picture I've ever seen.
But it's not
of the
Photoshop.
family. It's not. It's
The reveal at
just
the end is
really
they
good.
actually went to to the beach and they just took a shitty photo at the beach where you see zero beach.
Wait, listeners, the photo is the family, but the background is a blue sky and it looks photoshopped. And so the whole film, we're like, it's Photoshop. And then at the end,
and we see them at the beach.
They filmed them taking the picture. Someone just gets an angle without the beach in the background.
It honestly looks like they went to like Olin Mills in the 70s and stood in front of a cloud backdrop.
That's 100% what happened.
So she touches the mom and sees the day at the beach with her psychic
That was such a good memory.
But the mom, okay, so it is a picture of them on the beach, and then she says, "Oh, that must have been a nice day on the beach," and the mom is like, "Oh my God, you must be psychic."
This
no,
actually works
bitch, you're holding a picture of you and your kids at the beach.
This actually works because the beach isn't in the photograph. We just talked about this. The
Yeah, I
beach
guess
is
that's
just
sorta
literally a
true.
blue sky.
Maybe
So
this
she's
is-
like, "How did you know it's the beach? We totally messed up that photo."
Yeah.
We were in
I'm
the mountains.
I'm still mad at my husband for taking that photo like that.
You could just tell it was like a real big fight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, they're setting up and they're just listening for random ghost stuff, and they're also talking about the crosses that they're setting up.
Yeah, and they look like they're fucking radio DJs from Good Morning Vietnam. And I was like, welcome back to WW Ghost Radio.
And it might
Dead
be
air
said.
all the time.
It's the cop and the assistant doing this.
It is.
They're like, "Do you hear that?" And they're like, "No."
They've been having some kind of like rivalry or
They
something.
have, because Drew, the assistant, believes, obviously he's their assistant, and the cop, Mustache, is like, no, it's just the breeze.
How did he even get involved in this? Did it explain it?
I think
He
that
just shows up. He's like, "I don't believe in ghosts. You want me to set up some cameras?"
Yeah.
I think that the scam artists loop the local police in because, and honestly, it's a good idea because you can call backup and stuff, even though.
Also, they're setting up guns around the house.
Are you
Maybe
saying
they
that
went for safety first.
taxpayer dollars paid for this guy to spend 3 nights in this house?
I think he volunteered on his own time.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
not wearing
I
a
don't know.
uniform.
He is,
But I do
he isn't
think,
the last
Unless
night.
his mustache is a uniform.
but he does not believe. He
Or
is.
maybe he's investigating the Warrens, and this is all an undercover operation.
Yeah, honestly, someone should be investigating them because they are scam artists.
So then she sees something. They like record down in the basement, and some stuff happens, but it's not a
Oh
ton
yeah,
of
they set up the
stuff.
crosses. They're like, "This really pisses them off," and then
Yeah.
they go downstairs and they play the piano. And they're like,
The Bill Murray moment. I thought of the same thing. They don't actually play the piano, but they're like setting up crosses and like splashing holy waters. Like, why are you doing that? It really pisses them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so I love that movie. Anyway, so then they're in the basement and they're like, "Spirits, do something. Move the chair." It just kind of looks like a ghost hunter
Not a
show.
ton of stuff happens either. I think a door closes by itself.
It does. And then they go straight up man on the street style interview down to the basement with and it looks like a ghost hunter show at that point.
It does, yeah. And that doesn't last for too long, thank goodness.
It doesn't. They honestly just go downstairs, try to find anything. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
They go back upstairs, and I honestly thought the camera's going to whip around and show like the witch, maybe like through the door frame or whatever. But they do whip
doesn't,
around.
yeah.
Nothing's there. But then the door closes by itself.
Behind
and this
them,
is when
yeah.
the cop goes, "Must have been the breeze."
A draft.
A draft. That's what it
But
was.
Lorraine was like, "I felt something there."
She's saying that all the time, though.
That's what clairvoyants say. They just make shit up.
I got a fun fact. Okay, so the next thing we see is the the pancake breakfast, where everybody's happy in the kitchen. They're making pancakes. Everything feels like it's more resolved. I guess because they didn't find anything last night. So Ed and Lorraine go out and hang the laundry and talk about how wouldn't it be nice if they had a daughter, because they see how happy the family is with all of their daughters. And then they remember, oh, wait, we do, have,
we
a
do have a
daughter
daughter,
that we've
yeah.
abandoned with my mother.
Wouldn't it be nice if we had a daughter that we didn't ignore that we had? If we didn't leave her home with grandma, then she's not always fucking sad.
And getting attacked by Annabelle.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll get there.
It is a weird scene because they're like, "We should get a family."
Like,
And we're
you
all
have
like,
a
"What is
family."
You have a family. Oh, is this the where she's like doing the sheet and the sheet
Yeah.
blows into the witch who was like, you couldn't see, but when the
Yeah.
sheet hits her,
Yeah.
oh, I hated this.
We start to see wind and we start to see clouds, and she's starting to get suspicious, and the laundry's starting to blow away. And then, yeah, like what Todd said, the sheet blows off the line, and we see it like outline the person that was standing right next to her. That
This
was an
witch
invisible
wears a
person.
sheet.
So
Right there.
then the sheet blows off of the clothesline, and it blows, and it shows the silhouette of a person, an invisible person that was standing right next
Scared
to
the
Lorraine.
shit out of me.
It really did. And then it blows, because it just happens for a second, and then it blows up into the bedroom window where the mom is taking a nap. And then once the sheet drops, we see that there's a woman standing in that window now, who
But
wasn't there before.
but not the mom.
And walks away. This is the scariest part of the movie that I remember. We see the mom.
This is the vomit transfer scene.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
And the witch is just hovering right over her and vomits into her
Directly
mouth.
into her mouth. Yeah, that's real gross. I did not like this scene at all. It was scary and real gross. Like the gross factor was real.
Oh, and then Lorraine is running up and she's trying to find the mom, and the mom walks out and she's like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm just tired. I was asleep."
Yeah.
I mean, at that point on, she is the witch.
Yeah, she's been possessed by the witch. So then we see the man bonding. Ed and the dad are talking out by a car.
Ed's fixing the car for him. There's an old rundown car, and Ed decides to fix it for the dad. Ed's talking about how he's worried about Lorraine because every time they help someone, it takes a little piece of her.
Yeah.
And they did an exorcism, and then she saw something really scary, and it cuts to the scene, and she's freaking out. And then Ed's like, she locked herself in her room and didn't eat or drink
for like 8 days.
8 days.
And wouldn't tell me what she saw.
And then it's nighttime again, and the cop is wandering around. There's so many scenes of people just hearing something and then wandering around the dark house and then seeing a scary
And then
thing.
there's
No one asked for help.
Well,
It drives me insane. And a lot of these scenes, I don't think this one does, but a lot of them, the ghost or the witch is making a lot of noise, but no one else reacts to it except for that one person. But I think in this one, it's not.
It's
because
not.
this is the rocking chair on the porch, back porch maybe?
Yes, he
Front
goes
porch,
out, he
it's-
looks out, he
it's the
sees,
front porch.
and it could
Okay.
be the wind, but he hears a whisper that says, "Look what you made me do." So then we see somebody who may or may not be Taylor Swift standing, and she's got her slash marks on her wrist.
It's
and
like
we
a maid.
It's
yeah,
a maid.
yeah, and we assume that she is somebody that what the ghost made her do was kill herself.
This really got me.
Yeah, she
It
shows
really
her
did.
wrist
It really
there,
got
cut,
me.
It's bleeding.
Kicking myself because I stopped recording at this point, and then seconds later,
Were you getting video of me of
I
this
was,
too? Oh.
and then Taylor Swift bonks out and like says, "Look what you made me do!" And Todd flipped.
It
his
scared the hell out of me
shit.
because you see her just standing there, and it's not really super scary. It's not super jumpy. And then you see the cuts on her wrists, and then she walks behind a sheet, and then he goes and moves the sheet,
Brett
and
the
it's
cop's
not
like,
there anymore.
There's not a person really
There's
there.
nobody here. It's
Oh,
the wind
I'm a
or
cop.
whatever. It's
Yeah.
a breeze. And then he turns around, and she's like on him in his face.
Sprints in his face. Look what
Oh
you made
my
me do.
God, it scared the hell out of me.
I swear to God, it sounds like we're exaggerating, but I think you actually jumped out of your chair at this. And it sounds like we're exaggerating, but it is
Watching
that
movies with you
cartoonish.
makes them less scary. I was laughing the whole time.
Okay, so then the next thing we see is Cindy walking.
Oh yeah, so Cindy's
Banging
walking,
head
and these
daughter.
cameras are going off, right?
They're like, oh yeah,
Oh,
just let
yeah.
her go. And then the second,
Yeah, this is what they're like.
But then the second that she gets past the point that they can't get her back, that's when they freak out.
It's
about
like
it.
when she goes in the room upstairs and it closes the door, then they freak out.
Exactly.
Look, this is the point where the cameras are going off. They're like, people can't set off those cameras, and they never explain why, and that drives me crazy. And then they let her wander upstairs.
And so then they finally get in there, and she's not in the room anymore. And they're hearing two voices. They can hear her talking to someone.
Ed Warren goes, "Bring the black light," and the assistant sprints down there and gets the black light. They tear the black light. And it goes.
Yeah, and they follow footsteps on the floor
There's
to
there's like a trail of white stuff on the floor.
It's footsteps.
Yeah.
It's not.
If
This
you're
is
going
a child's
ghost hunting,
bedroom.
It's a child's
if you were
bedroom.
ghost
Yeah.
hunting in my condo, like you'd be thoroughly confused.
Gross.
It's everywhere.
Oh, we're real haunted. Wink, wink.
How does someone
Is this
live here?
ectogasm? But yeah, so they go to the wardrobe and they find a hidden panel in the wardrobe that allows them to go into a crawl space. And in this crawl space, they see a bunch of toys.
They see the daughter.
Yeah, she's asleep,
That's right.
and they just get her out.
And then is it the next day that the wife Warren goes in there with the toy?
Yeah, they did a logical thing and waited for the sun to come up, and they're like, "All right, now let's go into the crawl
And then
space."
she investigates the hole.
So the next day, she goes into the crawl space.
And they've got the dust outline because there are several toys in there, and then there's one like hexagon outline, and it perfectly matches the
Circus tent music box.
Yeah, she places it down, and it's like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And then it unlocks, and the whole wall collapses, and she falls
And
down.
she falls down all the way to the basement.
First, she sees a rope. starts
Oh,
pulling on it,
yeah.
and she pulls it up, and it's a noose. Then that's when she
And she
falls
up,
all the way
You
down.
got the news.
And she ends, and this was a really scary part of the movie too.
This may have been the scariest point for you, as you said.
I think so.
When she falls down?
because then she ends up in the basement.
Oh,
and nobody
shit, this
knows where
was
she
rough.
is. Yeah, so she's down in the basement and she's looking around and she sees Pilgrim Boy, and we see who we assume is his mother over him with a bloody knife.
And we don't see this from her point of view. We see it through the mirror because she has to see through the mirror to see them, right?
Yeah, Lorraine's a boss. She falls
man, I
down
hated
a
this.
3-story house, lands in the basement, hears whispers, and is like, "You know what I'm going to do next? Now that I'm in the crawl space, open the music box and look for ghosts.
Yeah,
and it works. But so we see
You're
the
right.
mom, and then the mom slowly starts to turn her head toward Lorraine, and then Lorraine
Doesn't the mom also say, "Look what you made me do"?
almost.
Oh, sorry.
Because then we don't see her anymore. Or she looks around and looks
she
away from the mirror, and then
pops
all of a
back.
sudden she's right behind her, and she says, "She made me do it," or something.
Something like that, yeah. But that's how we find out the boy didn't disappear. The mother killed.
And that's when, and then the mother killed herself.
Yeah.
And then she's still down there, and we see the feet dangling of the woman who hanged her. And this was so awesome.
This was not awesome.
What?
And then
This was awesome.
yeah, we see her feet hanging.
Yeah.
And then the feet start to turn around. And
Yeah.
I love how this happened because it was so
What if-
scary and so effective.
This
Yeah, it was
what?
very scary.
You like this?
It was basically just the way.
why?
Because it's horror and I love horror.
This is fucking horrible.
I know, it's really scary.
Okay,
Boo.
I did not think it was that scary of a scene. I think it was really cool to see the witch hanging out.
Zing!
Yes!
I hated this, and this is probably what will keep me up at night.
Just watching her hanging around the house.
I told you it's effective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Mikey. She's chilling.
Chilling.
All right. So what happened after this horrible scene that you loved, Jen?
So then she starts to run away, and the lock gets caught, and it's kind of pulling her back.
I didn't
and
know
so
that
her
it got
lock-
caught. I thought like the ghost pulled it
Well, yeah,
off of
that's
her or
what's
something.
happening.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
And then it ends up hanging on like a banister down. And she says she uses the mother to kill the children. So now we've cracked the code.
And this is sort of when everyone leaves, right? This is when they pack up and go to the motel, right?
Kind of. Well, first she runs out to the dock and she sees her daughter
Oh, that's
under
right,
the
that's right.
water.
And she's like, "Holy
floating
shit!
by.
I forgot I had a daughter.
Right,
I should call and
exactly.
check on
Maybe
her
she-
for the first time since the first 10 minutes of the movie."
And so she panic calls her mom. Is like, "Go check my daughter. Go check my." And
Well, she
everything's
puts her
fine.
arm because the locket's glowing in the water. She puts her arm in, and the whole thing disappears.
Yeah, because it was.
And that's when
good.
she goes and calls the grandma.
With
Yeah.
2 rotations of a rotary phone, she dials that whole phone number. That bothered me. She only does 2 numbers. If she was really stressed dialing a phone, it'd be like.
That's how it works.
7 times, and then she'd be like,
Yeah,
put
if-
my daughter on the phone.
The number you just dialed was 333-333-3333.
Or was it 666?
What?
666.
I'm out.
Actually, it's a movie, so it's 555.
Ooh, okay. So then this is when the family investigators go to the hole and they're like, "We are out."
This is when they nope out of the house and leave. Yeah, and so the scam artists go right to the Catholic Church and are like, "Hey, we need to do this exorcist on the house."
Watch
Right.
this footage.
And we see the pictures and we
Yeah.
see the daughter being led up the stairs and the ghost hand on her. And then we see Pilgrim Boy right behind, kind of pushing her up the stairs.
So the priest is like, "We have to actually talk to Vatican about this because we can't do anything without their authority."
So then we see daughter Judy, and she's asleep in the house. And she wakes up because of thunder, and then she's wandering down the aggressively wallpapered hallway that also matches her nightgown.
Yes.
Judy, the Lorraine's daughter, not
Yes.
the haunted couple, not the haunted
Because
couple.
we don't know any of their names, I don't think. So then we see that the Museum of Haunted Things is open despite like 7 locks on the door. And so she kind of wanders in, and we also see that Annabelle's cage
At
is
this point,
open.
this is her fault. She was told not to go in that room.
She was.
Yeah.
Then she goes in.
She goes in and she sees a woman holding Annabelle in a rocking chair.
But this isn't in the museum room. She runs like to
This
the
is
office
outside
across the
house.
hall.
She
Yeah.
runs out and she's hiding in a room and she sees a rocking chair in the corner and a woman, which I think is
because
the witch.
well, first
think
the
it's the
door,
witch, too.
door slams on her and she can't get out. She's screaming,
Yeah.
Grandma, wake up! And then she turns around,
and the witch
rocking
is
chair.
holding Annabelle, brushing her hair, and then
Annabelle.
freezing. Annabelle turns her head to look, and she's just creepy as.
Yeah, in the world's worst ventriloquist act.
Yeah. And so she's trying to get out, and this is right when Ed and Lorraine are driving up to save the day because the grandmother has now woken up but can't get into the room because the door has been evil locked. And so the Warrens come in and can somehow open the door right when the rocking chair flings itself at the door, and Ed grabs her out of the way and saves the day.
And the rocking chair shattered against the wall where
Yeah.
the daughter was
He
standing.
says, "It's Annabelle, she's out." And then he goes back into the Museum of Evil Things and finds her back in her cage now.
Yeah.
So everything is safe and it's fine. I can't remember exactly how this goes down, but we hear that the mom from the house, Lily, has driven away with the 2 youngest girls.
They get a phone call right after the chair explodes.
Yes, they do, because the dad, I think, has gotten to the hotel. Anyways, so the mom is driving back to the house with the 2 youngest daughters, and she is just possessed as fuck.
Yeah, they're like, "Where are you taking us, Mom?" And she's like, "Grr."
Right. And so everybody ends up back at this house, and the mom is in the basement with these scissors trying to stab her daughter, with the dad trying to kind of hold her back. And that's when the Warrens show up.
The Warrens show up, and the cop and the assistant.
Yes, everybody shows up. Everybody's trying to keep her from killing her kids. Lorraine doesn't want to go, and this is when they have their kind of romantic moment. They say, God wanted us to do this. We got to finish it together. Okay, so then the cop shows up and shoots the door open because apparently the doorknob's not working.
He pulls out
it's
his shotgun. He's like, this is how cops do it.
It's like evil
Boom,
law.
I don't need a warrant.
Shoots
This is how you break a ghost lock.
Yeah. I didn't grow this mustache for nothing. And then he shoots the door open. And that's when they see her and they're all trying to keep her from stabbing her daughter. And this is when they try to take her to the car and they try to pull her out of the door and her skin kind of starts melting like a vampire if you put them into
But she wasn't in the sun, right? It was still at night,
just
right?
like the
It was after
threshold
she
of the
started getting
door.
out of the door.
Yeah. It was just the threshold
but
of the
it
house.
shows the boundary.
And Lorraine,
Yeah.
of course, uses her psychic power, and she's like, the witch is going to kill her if we try to get her to leave the house.
Yeah.
It
We need
seemed
to
that
do
way
the
for sure.
exorcism on the house now.
Yes.
So now they drag her down into the basement and they're fighting with her in the basement. And
she's like floating around being knocked into shit. It was hilariously
Yes.
strange.
Oh, she gets dragged down into the basement by the ghost.
Which we've seen the ghost drag around a daughter before, so that's not a new thing.
Oh, yeah. We didn't talk about when
Yeah, a lot of
yeah.
shit happened that we skipped over, but that's fine.
Because there's just so much.
Yeah.
And this is when she tries to bite the mustache off the cop's face.
She
but
does.
Misses
She
and
misses.
gets his cheek. Because it's just so crazy.
Yeah, you
And
can't
then-
bite up a whole mustache.
She's always been a cheeky lady.
Yeah. Oh, nailed it.
And so then Lorraine comes up with the sheet and gets her that way. And then they end up tying her with a sheet over her head.
And then cuffing
tying
her to the
in-
chair, and
yeah.
then there's rope around her waist
If
and
you're gonna
legs, I
deal with a
think.
ghost, you might as well have them dress the part.
It's true. But they forgot to cut the eye holes.
They're not going to a rally, Jen. Oh, you mean like a cheap
Like
ghost
a sheet
costume?
ghost.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about something else.
A lot of stuff happens. They end up doing the exorcism.
This house is cool.
Yeah, well,
This is
they
when
go back
had
and
that,
forth
we're
about it.
finishing it together.
Yeah.
God wanted us
This
to
is
do
why
this.
God made us get married.
Yeah, it's not.
Wow. It
Hot
could've
takes
been.
from Jen.
They're a good couple.
So they do
It's a fun
start the exorcism.
Yeah, he
Yes,
starts throwing
they start
holy
the
water
exorcism.
everywhere.
At this point, it stops being super scary for me.
Because it's just crazy and you can see everything.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
I can see the witch on the screen. I know where she is.
Yeah.
It's still creepy because
It is creepy.
There's one light bulb in the basement and it's swinging, so the shadows are neat. And then she's in the chair and you see the shadows being weird. And then he's, talking Latin out of his. They don't call it a Bible. They just say, go get the book, which is weird.
Yeah, maybe they didn't have the rights to the Bible.
I believe it's pronounced the Bible.
It's like the big game, instead of the Super Bowl. Well, so while this whole thing is happening, the older daughter that's with them is in the
it's
car.
the young daughter.
And the young daughter is missing somewhere in the house.
And it's the middle daughter in the car.
Yeah. It's the not quite as young daughter. And the other one is somewhere in the house, and the assistant Drew is running around trying to find her. And the daughter is in the car, and the birds start flying into
This is
the
where
car
it gets
windows.
real Alfred Hitchcocky. Yeah.
It really does, yeah.
Because birds start slamming into the house, slamming through the windows in the basement, and hitting them, or like hitting just random things in the
Busting
basement.
glass.
You
Yeah.
yelled ghost birds a couple of
Ghost
times.
birds! Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, so they're having the sheet exorcism, and then we imagine that she's coughed up blood because we just see blood all of a sudden where her mouth or her face.
Well, yeah, and the
is.
scam artist dad is like, or what's his name? Patrick, whatever.
The power of Christ compelling.
Yeah, he's doing the whole exorcism
Yeah.
thing.
He's like,
Yeah, he's like flinging holy
show
water and
yourself.
stuff.
I could demand you to show yourself all the angels and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
and
then
the sheet rips.
Yeah.
And you
Well-
see the witch's face underneath.
and the
is
chair
goofy.
starts to levitate too.
Yeah.
And then flips up, and the chair is on the ceiling. And they're saying, "Let her go, drop her." And it's like, "Don't drop her. If you drop her right on her head, she's going to die."
Well, it drops her, but it drops
does
her on the
drop her.
back, and then
Drops
it
her on
breaks
the
the
back.
chair.
chair.
And so then,
So Ron Livingston is trying to get control of his wife.
yeah, and she looks at him and she says, "She's already gone."
The wife does.
and you're
the
all going to
possession.
die. Yes, and it's the witch talking.
Yeah,
through
the
her.
sheet's all the way off. She's got a creepy face with the yellow
This
eyes.
is when it looks sort of like The Exorcist.
Yeah, she
like an
looks just
older
like
lady
with the- yeah.
exorcist. Yeah.
Because she still looks just a little bit like the actress, but also the witch, and it's kind of going back and
makeup
forth in the
doesn't
face.
look that great. And she's like,
I don't think so.
your wife's gone. All your family's going to die. Ha, 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 ha.
Okay, so then they finally find Rose, who's the youngest daughter. And I don't know why.
Yeah, they find her
Suddenly
under
doing
the floor of the
under
kitchen.
the house.
The
yeah,
assistant hears her voice under the floor and he grabs a crowbar to start breaking the boards open on the kitchen floor.
and
Yeah.
so this is when the mom, who is possessed, figures out where she is. She grabs the scissors, she scoots over, and she gets the daughter into a place where nobody can get to her, and she's about to stab the daughter with the scissors.
Yeah, she crawls through a hole in the crawl space where the bigger people can't chase her.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then like finds the daughter who's also hiding in the crawl space.
So, but like Ron Livingston goes to one side, the other Patrick, whatever his name is in the movie, goes to the other side. The scam artist guy, Ed, goes to the other side, and then the wife scam artist goes to the kitchen where the hole was dug, and she's like reaching down. So they're like all on either side and above her, and they're like, "You got to fight it from within."
There's 3 cuts. It cuts to scam artist's husband, and he is doing his exorcism still, yelling really passionately. And then it cuts to Lorraine, who's like holding her head. She's like, "You got to fight it from within."
And she's talking about the beach picture.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to and she's like, help her fight from the win. It cuts to Lauren Livingston. He's like, yeah, girl, just like you need to fight it. He really doesn't sell this scene at all.
kill
It'd be
our
like
daughter.
super great if you didn't kill our daughter, man.
Yeah, he's like, we got 4 others, so it's like whatever.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean,
it'd be
I don't
better
know.
for us if you didn't do it.
Listen, I got a lot of money for this movie, so if you have to kill her, feel free, but I'd rather you didn't.
I'm definitely rotary phoning it in.
Yeah, 100%.
And so she fights from within, and then she pukes up.
She throws up the
demon.
ghost witch.
Yeah, and I think it's the power of that beach picture that really saves the day. You know,
So really, they didn't need holy water; they just need Epigac.
Anything to make her vomit.
and
Yeah.
beach picture love. So then all is happy, and youngest daughter gives her back her locket, and then they bring the music back to their museum, and
The music box. They bring the music box back to their museum.
Set it down.
and then the last thing they talk about is they just got a call for a house on Long Island, which is the Amityville house.
So is that the sequel they were going to try to set up, but then just didn't go for?
No, I don't
Isn't
think
there
they
a
were.
Conjuring too?
Yeah.
There is, but it takes
And-
place in jolly old England.
But the beginning of it is in the Amityville house.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I don't think they were ever going to do an entire movie about the Amityville
Yeah, who would
house
do that?
because that's just
A lot of people have done that.
Yeah, it's the
That was the
Amityville
joke.
horror.
Yeah, and it's a scam.
Yes.
Is that the end of the movie though?
Yeah, and
So that's the movie.
And then we see like credits with the real people, which I always think is interesting because we get to see the pictures of the actual people.
Yeah, we get to see the family and the scam artist that kind of got together to scam everybody.
And because what? Well, that's Todd's theory. Which may or may not be true, because the whole time we've been saying this is not real, but this is based on a true story. Whether you believe this haunting is real,
This is based on a true family.
is that exactly this
Yeah.
family really exists? This case really exists. Whether you believe the haunting is real is your decision to make. But these events, some of them actually happened. These are real people.
So do you want to do box office first?
Yeah, go for box office.
All right, so let's talk about box office. So this
movie
movie,
It really did.
it really did, Mikey.
It probably didn't cost
I bet it was
that
like a $20 million movie.
Dude, $20 million was the production budget. You crushed it. It made domestically, it was $137 million. Overseas, $182 million. So
Dang.
it's $319 million.
Boom!
This made a lot of money. And I'll say this, I hated this movie. I'll never watch this movie again, but it is good. It
This is
holds
like-
up. Like, it is scary. The story's good. Like, I hated it. I'll never watch it again, but
It's
it
Todd's
is.
Kryptonite movie.
Yep. F this movie
Well, it
in the
spawns
A. I hated
a
this.
sequel.
Yeah.
3 spinoffs.
Oh,
yeah.
whole
An
series of
entire
movies, yeah.
universe.
Yeah, I mean, but I'll never watch it again. I swear to Pazuzu himself, I'll never watch this movie again.
I've only seen this movie once because it was scary when I watched
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I remember. I
I'm
don't
out.
think I saw it in theaters, but I remember being really
I
scared.
definitely classified as a movie I don't watch without other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's-
So it did very, very, very well. The first weekend it came out, it was #1. Yeah, so it beat out Despicable Me.
And it was released in July, so which is like blockbuster territory.
It was up against some pretty solid movies when it came out.
And if you think about it, because 2013 was that 6 years ago, how many sequels and spin-offs this movie has spawned?
About one a year. I'm
Yeah.
not sure they all came out year after year, but about one a year since then. So let's talk fun facts.
Well, and one of the reasons we chose this movie for Women in Horror Month, too, is that I love that there are 2 really strong female characters in this movie.
Oh yeah,
And
the woman is a scam artist, and then the wife of the Ron Livingston is, and they're both great in this movie.
They
man.
really are. Yeah, and they both have a lot of agency. They're both central to the plot, and this does pass the Bechdel test. Okay, so fun facts.
Jan's fun facts.
Okay, so this movie was rated R, and there's really no nudity, there's no sex, there's no anything. And the reason that it was rated R, the quote they got back was, "It's just so scary. It's rated R," which doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, because there's no gore except
there's
for the
no-
vomit.
It's really not even that violent.
And no
Yeah.
one cusses.
And so what they got back was, "It's just so scary. story, and there's really no editing you could do that would give you a PG-13 rating for this.
They really got screwed because they could have made more money with a PG-13 rating.
I honestly think right now this would be a PG-13 movie.
Okay, so another fun fact. This movie got sued by the current people that live in this house because it's a real house, and their home was getting vandalized after this movie came out and people kept trying to break in the house. The movie also got sued by somebody who said he had bought the rights to the Warrens' stories. I'm not 100% sure how that lawsuit worked out, but there's interesting things online. The Warrens appeared in the first episode of The Challenge on MTV, which was then called Road Rules All-Stars.
Yeah, that thing was awesome.
What?
I was in
I know.
college.
I loved that show, and then I kind of grew out of it.
What?
Yeah, they
You ever
did.
watch that?
No.
They challenged the Real World team to spend the night in a haunted house. No, a haunted mental hospital.
What?
And they were like the two that introduced the challenge.
Hell no, man.
So this is based on a true story, and there are no rules for what you have to use in a story to claim that. So this could be all a bunch of nonsense, and they use the names of characters and still say it's based on a true story. They claim to have investigated over 10,000 cases.
That sounds like an exaggeration.
Well,
They're scam artists, Mikey.
10,000 is a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
it is a lot, yeah. Well, and so a lot of the cases have already been movies. There's a sequel coming out, The Conjuring 3, which is based on, I think, the Snedeker house.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
Okay, so they may be scam artists, and you can choose to believe them or not. A lot of the research I got was about them being debunked.
Yeah.
But they didn't charge any money from the people whose houses they investigated.
That's good, Todd.
All of their money they made from publishing. I think they published like 9 books,
Yeah.
and they did a bunch of lecture series. So, I mean, they're not scamming families directly.
I will
don't
say
know.
this, if you guys don't know anything about the magician James Randi, he held a $1 million challenge to prove that paranormal is real, and anyone who tried to prove that paranormal was real failed this challenge, and he debunked a shitload of people. There's a whole documentary on
Yeah,
Netflix
I love
about
that
it.
They're not
It's
the Warrens aren't in
awesome.
it though.
No,
Are they
because
not?
they would. There's no way they would go on that because it would prove their whole thing is a sham.
Which makes them smarter than the average scam artist because he got tons of people.
Yeah, he got tons of people. It's a great doc, though. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry, but it's great.
This is an interesting fun fact. Okay, so when they were writing this, they talked to Lorraine Warren, and she was very involved in like the making of this movie. She's got a cameo in the movie. The actors that play Ed and Lorraine Warren went and spent a lot of time with her, and she made them sign clauses that they would not show the Warrens in the movie doing any kind of like drinking or drug use or saying anything bad, and just presenting them in a really good light, and that they would specifically not say anything about either of them having an affair in the movie.
Did they have an affair in real life with ghosts?
So,
Ghost Affair.
before they became ghost hunters, Ed was a bus driver, and he met a student named Penny on his bus who was 15 when
Oh my God.
Just wait. That was 15. Now, I'm saying all this is alleged.
We almost made it a whole episode, Todd.
Oh my God. Why does it always come back to sexual assault?
When they first met, she was 15. I don't know about any kind of timelines, but apparently they had a romantic relationship. She
God.
moved into their house. They
What?
carried this relationship on for decades, and she lived in a bedroom across the hall from them.
I don't know if this helps, but was it a city bus or a school
I think it was,
bus?
I mean, it doesn't say.
It doesn't matter. She was 15.
True. Apparently, she got pregnant,
Oh.
and they.
Ghost baby.
The power to. Okay.
Ghosting, babe.
And they
had an
convinced her to have an abortion. And they wanted her to say that she was raped, and that's how she got pregnant.
Why, Jen, why are you
She
doing
also
this to me?
claimed that Ed was abusive
Oh my God.
to her and Lorraine.
Oh my God.
And and then Lorraine made her sign a contract. I don't know if any of that is true. You can leave that in or not.
I mean, if we just say it's alleged, I think it's fine.
It is alleged. Yeah. And the only reason I say it is because in the movie, they just seem like such a happy couple.
Yeah.
And that's specifically because she made them sign a contract that's how they would present them
What
in
if
the movie.
that's why all the ghosts haunt them is because
Because of karma?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the ghost of all his terrible doings.
No, I mean, really, he's just a bad dude scam artist who talked his wife into being a scam artist with him, and then they scammed a bunch of people because they're scam artists.
Yeah, they're lying liars who lie. So
Yeah.
maybe they lie about other things.
Exactly.
And you know what? I don't know if they're scam artists or not. That's all alleged too. I keep pointing at the TV. I do really like them in the movie. I like both of the characters. I like both the actors. I'm just not sure how representative that is of who they actually are.
I do feel like these movies would work better when they're not based on true stories, because I would like like Poltergeist, for instance, I think works a lot better as a film because it's a fake family with a fake house and a fake story and a fake psychic. And in the movie, it doesn't ruin my disbelief because you don't go out and Google them and find out that they, like raped a girl on a school bus or whatever. And I feel like that keeps me in the movie better. And now I'm going to watch the third one, and then that's all I'm going to think about.
And I think that part of the reason their relationship is important to the movie is because it's a grounding thing. And there's so much of this movie that's really creepy. And a lot of this movie is about a family falling apart. So I think when you have this relationship that seems really solid in the movie, it kind of helps you when you're super terrified. So those are my fun facts. Yeah, some of them were less fun than others.
Let's do scary scale.
Scary
So,
scale.
Jen, what is the scary scale?
Listeners, our scary scale is a scale we use to rank how scared we were when we watched this movie. It's not a ranking of the quality of the film. It's a ranking of how scared we were when we watched it today. Todd, what you got?
I would give it an 8.
An 8.
Yes.
Nice. That's the highest you've had in a while.
It is the highest I've had in a while. The movie is very scary. It is very spooky, and it's very creepy. And I hate jump scares, and this had a lot of really effective and horrible, horrible jump scares.
Yeah.
I hated it. I hated this movie. I'll never watch it again. Everyone, when they asked me what movie I was watching, all week has been, oh, you're screwed.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You guys are jerks.
Were you as screwed as they said you were?
I think so. Yeah, I hated this movie.
I think you took it like a champ.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
man.
did it well. We kept asking if you wanted
You
to
didn't even
turn
take a
it
break,
off.
and you've taken breaks in scary movies before.
Yeah.
Mikey, what do you think so?
I'm going to give it a 7. I mean, I feel like Jen and I'm not going to speak for your scary scale, Jen. I would not speak for you. But we did the jump scares. We still jumped. We still screamed, and it was still scary.
Yeah, because there are so many of them. You just can't remember all of them, unless you've seen this movie over and over and over and over
I remember
again.
like the big scenes, but I forgot that there's one every like 2 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it an 8 too. Yeah. It is scary. It backs it up. I think it's creepy enough. Now, I'm not going to be afraid to go to sleep tonight. Like, it's not going to
child.
scare me. I don't think there's anything underlying that makes me think more about anything outside of this movie. Like, Hereditary messed with me for weeks because I was thinking about the family dynamic and I was thinking about how like emotional it was on top of it being super scary. But this movie was just really scary, and now I'm going to walk away from it. It doesn't like linger.
I'm with you.
know?
I'm done, and I'm like, okay, that was fun.
Yeah, there's
Bye.
Yeah.
So, hey, what movie are we doing next?
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, this is one of my top 5 movies that we're going to do next.
Really?
Yes, it is. We're going to do the original Fright Night.
I love this movie too.
I do too. I'm really excited. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I like the remake too.
I love the remake.
But since Anton, what's his face, died, I haven't been able to watch this movie.
But we're not watching the remake.
We are not watching the remake.
original.
We're watching the original. Yes.
That's important. People care about that kind of stuff. So it's the last episode of the month, so we are going to do our Patreon shout-outs for the monthly Patreon shout-outs, guys, and there really are just 3.
Maybe why don't we each say one?
Yeah.
We got Daniel Y. Daniel Y.
Yeah, I remember that one. Eddie S. And who?
And Melissa K.
Yeah.
Yay,
Thank you guys so
You
much
can get it.
guys,
for
thank you
being
so
our You Can Get It Patreon supporters. We really, really, really appreciate it. You guys really make this podcast run, and we appreciate it.
You truly can get it.
It is not just a clever name. So, guys, if you want to make sure you're in on your weekly or monthly shout-outs or any of the other great Patreon stuff that we have, go to patreon.com/horrorvirgin to sign up there.
We also just wrapped up our Patreon listener request episode contest for March. So be looking for that. We do stuff like that every month. Yeah.
So, guys, we are a member of the Modern Horrors Podcast Network. Make sure you check us out there. And if you are listening to us in the Modern Horrors feed, make sure you subscribe to our feed because you'll get it 2 days earlier on Monday and not have to wait till Wednesday to listen to the podcast. If you want to follow us online, we are at Horror Virgin on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Oh, and we just started a Facebook group.
We did.
Check out the Facebook group. It's awesome. It's only been live for 24 hours and we have 51 or 52 members. It's awesome. If you want to follow me specifically, it's at Todd J. Awesome on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Mikey is M. Randolph24 on Instagram and Twitter, right?
It's actually now it's at Dick O'Clock.
At Dick O'Clock.
Oh, jeez. Don't follow that hashtag.
I wonder if that's a hashtag. So follow Mikey
It is
there.
now.
And Jen is at Jen Ferratu on Facebook. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yes.
Go to the website at horrorvirgin.com. You can see the links to our merch, all that great stuff. We actually got 2 photos this week of different mugs, which I thought was cool. Yeah, the
Final Girls mug.
Yeah, the Final Girl mug that we
one of
have,
them
and
was
also
me.
so we actually got 3 pictures then, because we had one from our wrestler friend Robbie, who has this regular Horror Virgin mug that he won, and then we had 2 of the Final Girl mugs that we have.
Those are always fun. And if you guys want to email us at info@horrorvirgin.com.
Yep. I also wanted to start reading some 5-star reviews, because we're getting a lot of 5-star reviews, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
So we want to shout out some love at those 5-star reviews. So the 5-star review I'm going to read.
And while you're looking for that, let me say, if you cannot support the podcast through Patreon, we completely understand that. Just leaving us a review, honestly, just telling people about the podcast is a huge help to us, and that's a great way for you to support us.
Absolutely. And you guys are clearly telling people about the podcast, as we have been growing a lot. So this one is from Drew Sum of All Fear Pod.
Ooh, and let me say, I've been listening to that podcast. It's called The Sum of All Fear, and it's cool. You should check
Jen,
it
you
out.
listen to so many podcasts. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, you listen to a lot. Anyway, his 5-star review is, have a few horror virgins in my life, and I wish I had been smart enough to come up with this podcast idea. So fun. Listen and enjoy. So thank you very much, Drew. Sum of All Fear Pod. We appreciate your 5-star review. And guys, leave us 5-star reviews. You might have yours read out and a little love sent your way on our pod.
You.
Yeah, it could be you guys. All right. Make sure you watch Fright Night, the old one, before next week, because that'll be the next one to come out.
I'm Jen.
I'm Mikey.
I'm your horror virgin, Todd, guys. We'll see you next week.
Have a great week.
Bye. Nerds.